Hello YouTube, this is Brandon with the Outdoor Review, and today we're actually going to be talking about this cabinet that we put together. Right now I'm using it to store all of my hiking and climbing gear, and I wanted something where I could put everything in organized, so I didn't have to be digging through several different boxes or just having it lying out on the floor. So I think this is a very creative way to kind of store everything. So what we're going to do is first we're going to kind of go over the outside of it, the construction and just little details and some of the features, and then we're going to open it up and see how we have this organized. Okay, so first things first, this cabinet's made by Black&Decker, and I was able to pick it up at Lowe's for about $180. It was a little pricey, but I feel that the use I've gotten out of it and just how well it stores everything is really worth the money. It took me about an hour and something, an hour and 30 minutes to put it together, but I was doing it by myself. So if you have another person, it would definitely help and go a lot quicker. The only tools you need for this is a screwdriver and a hammer. I use an electric drill to help me out, so that definitely saves some time. It's made out of this pressboard material, but it's very sturdy, it's lightweight, you can move it around pretty easily. And overall, I'm very happy with how durable it's been. There's just a few features on here that I'm not too happy with, so we'll take a look at those right now. Okay, so the first feature that I'm not too happy with is this lock that they have on here. It doesn't really secure anything. There's a latch on this door that you push down and it locks into the base of the cabinet. And then you turn the key and it flips a latch to kind of prevent this door from opening up. But if you just pull on this hard enough, it's going to open up and probably break the latch that's on this door. So it's not too helpful, but which really didn't concern me because I don't really need to lock this up. For the most part, if anything, if you do have it locked and somebody wants to get in, they're just going to make a lot of noise before they get into it. So I haven't really thought about putting a different kind of lock on here, but I guess if you wanted to, you can put a latch in between here and put a padlock on it or something. I haven't really thought about it too much. But anyway, so that's one of the features on here that I think could have been a little bit better, but didn't affect me because I didn't really need to use it anyway. So we're going to take a look at another feature right now that I wasn't too pleased with. Okay, so for the next feature that I wasn't too pleased with, we're going to move to the back here and talk about this back panel. It's just made out of a very thick, I want to say cardboard, and it just tacks on to the back of the cabinet. And for what I originally was thinking I was going to do was hang all of the ropes and my gear from the back side of it, but when I went down to the store and found out that it was just flimsy cardboard, I kind of had to change it around. It ended up working out, but yeah, it was just one thing. If you're planning on hanging anything from the back, you won't be able to because it's not that strong. But other than that, I made it work. So I'll show you when we go inside what I did with it. But that's just another con from this cabinet here. Okay, so here's the cabinet opened up. I kind of had to switch to manual mode here to give you a shot of it. But just to give you a general idea on the kind of space and area you can have to work with here. I'll zoom in and focus on the top and bottom of it, but as of now it stands just over 6 feet tall. It's a little taller than I am, which is nice. There's some legs that you can attach to give it about another, I don't know, 1.5 inches, which I put on there because I like to have it just a little bit taller. But we're going to stop and focus in on the bottom half first, and then we'll work our way up. Okay, so right now we're going to take a look at the bottom portion of the cabinet. If you look over here, what I've done is I've taken one of the shelves that came with it and cut it in half. I then took shelving brackets and screwed it to the bottom of the shelf, and then in turn screwed it into the side of the cabinet. So it gives me a really nice half shelf here. And so I can put batteries, flashlights, chem lights, just some cameras, everything else for quick access so I don't have to go digging around in a bag for it. Which it also allows me to utilize more of the space down here versus having a full shelf. Over here I've got a rope bag with about 200 feet of rope in it. I also have a GoPro camera thrown in there, which I like to take out sometimes. And underneath the bag, I keep my hiking pants and jackets. I like to keep them down there versus in a drawer in the closet. So that way, right when they're washed, I can just throw them back there. I always know where they are. And here's my pack that I sometimes take out. I like to keep my hiking boots in here as well. I dust them off, throw them in here, so again, I don't have to go looking around for them. Sometimes I leave them in the garage or in my closet. This way I know exactly where they are every time. And in front of that, I just keep a nice little medical kit. I like to take that out with me. And so I'm really pleased with the bottom of it. Lots of room. So now we're going to take a look at the top and see what we did up there. Okay, so this is the top portion of the shelf. And what I'm going to do is kind of give a quick overview of it, and then we'll zoom in and take a look inside at some more specific features that I have set up. But one thing I do want to note is this shelf here. This is the only full shelf that I put in, and during the construction it's one of the required pieces to actually place inside because it gives support to the cabinet itself. But it actually worked out really well. I have some helmets and everything, some other things set up down here, and it gave me actually the perfect height for what I wanted to do on the sides. So with that being said, we're going to take a look inside at some of the more specific features. Okay, so this is the top portion of the cabinet, and the first thing that I'd like to review is this shelf here. As I had mentioned earlier during the assembly, this shelf really provides a lot of stability and support to the entire cabinet, so I highly recommend that you don't skip this step and you put this shelf in here, because if you don't do it while you assemble it, there's no way to put it in after the cabinet's assembled. So with that being said, right now I just have a couple of helmets, knee pads, beanies, and some of my climbing gloves that I use. What I really wanted to focus on was this power strip that I put in. All I did was drilled a hole in the back of this cardboard here and ran it through, plugged it into a wall socket. So this way I can charge all of my rechargeable electronics, anything that I take out with me, inside the cabinet, so I don't leave them out on the counter or on the floor charging overnight. So that way whenever I get all my stuff, everything's right here and self-contained. So I'm really happy with this feature, and I recently just did it. It looks a little cluttered, but it's definitely worth it, just having everything charging here, so I know where all my chargers are, and all of my electronics that I take out with me are all located right here. Okay, so one of the next challenges that I had on the inside of this was where to hang these ropes at. Originally, when I was looking for a cabinet, I wanted to hang them on the back portion here, but as I stated earlier, that this is not suitable for hanging anything. So what I had to do was start hanging everything on the sides, which actually worked out a lot better in my opinion. But one of the first things I tried was I bought these things. They were called, I believe, monster hooks, and I started to screw them in to the side over here, and what actually ended up happening was, I don't know if you can see it, I punched through a little bit. So that didn't work, and it didn't provide enough support for these ropes. These are two 100 feet sections, so they have a little bit of weight to them. So what I ended up finding was these heavy duty brackets here, which actually worked out extremely well. They are supported by 3 screws. I apologize, I don't remember the size of the screws that I used. I just kind of had to do a little trial and error, but they actually hold these ropes up extremely well, and I'm sure if I had 200 feet of rope secured properly, I could hang them on here with no problem. So I'm really pleased on how they turned out, and it looks good, and it keeps everything organized with this. So that's just one of the ways that I've found to hang the ropes. Okay, so on the opposite side here, I've got my figure 8s, carabiners, ascenders, my harness, some easy-aiders, and just some other technical climbing gear that we got here. They are being just held up by regular hooks. These have worked out well enough to where I could screw them in far enough to support these rigs, but they didn't poke through the other side, so that really worked out well. And just to give a closer look on how, if you wanted to install the shelves regularly, you just put these pegs in these holes and place the shelf on top. So it's pretty simple to adjust them and move them around to how you want. Okay, so now we're going to take a look on how I utilize the back panel there. As I stated earlier, it really isn't worth hanging anything on because I don't feel it's sturdy enough to support any kind of equipment. So what I ended up doing was I went down to a craft store and I bought some of the loop material on Velcro, and they were on these sticky pages, and you can just peel off the backing and stick them to here. So this set worked out really well. Kind of put some morale patches and just some of the things that I've done. So that worked out pretty decently in my opinion. I like how it looks, gives it a nice feel. And if you notice too, I have a light installed. Let me see if I can show you. That didn't come with the cabinet. I actually just went down to, I believe, Home Depot and purchased it. And it's a nice little LED light. It's got a switch on it so you can switch it off and on. And I just have that running down to the power cord that I had showed you earlier. And one of the things that I had done to it, originally you're supposed to mount it with screws, but I had actually just gotten strips of Velcro, the hook and loop, and put it on either side. So this is actually being held up by Velcro right now, which in my opinion was a lot easier to mount, because at first I tried with the screws and it was taking too long. So I just went for the Velcro and it works out a lot better. So that's how I've been utilizing that back panel, and just kind of some of the lighting that was extra that I decided to put in. Alright, well that pretty much completes our review of the cabinet here. I hope you found some of this information useful, and if you guys have any questions or comments or would like me to clarify anything, feel free to leave a comment below. And also, if you guys have any of your personal ideas or any ways that you store your gear, I'd like to see it. So if you have videos or photos that you'd like to share, I'm always looking for new ideas. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.